Welcome to Journey to Service. I'm William Laddick. Once again, we are back for another episode. We haven't missed a week, although I was away a couple of weeks ago, but there's always somebody here, always somebody tending to the fort. Today, we are a small group. We're back to our original. It's Randall and me. So, hey, Randall, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, brother, as always. What else can you say?
Great time to be alive. That's what you can say, right?
Oh, amazing. You betcha. I mean, I don't want to say we've been waiting for this, but we've been waiting for this. Seriously. We work every day, William, you and I, at our humanitarian efforts and stuff, but it's just so beautiful to see the expansion so fast, and to have it happen here in Canada, couldn't be prouder, brother. That's all I can say.
Well, what are some of the things that you're seeing and experiencing? You were out and about yesterday, especially, and put in a couple of reports, and then earlier this week, bam, 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 bam. There were like 5 or 6 videos there going on in one day. So you're on a roll. But you can always obviously tell by watching your videos. You're juiced. You're definitely feeling the change, feeling the energy shifting. And tell me what it was like out and about yesterday.
Well, like you say, all week, what I felt was momentum. And when you feel momentum, then get into it. It's just like jumping in the river, because the river's flowing now, instead of walking along the shore. It's like nothing holding it back anymore, and it's just so, oh God, how the hell do I put it? Just so calming and peaceful. Like, I was quite emotional even at last week's rally in Calgary last Saturday, but then yesterday again, probably a little calmer yesterday because I got used to it from the week before. But to see more smiling faces than I've ever seen in my life, seriously, like this is a joyful revolution, not a revolution. Like, these people are joyful and happy children. We had one yesterday in the crowd, like I've shown the old lady before, the 94-year-old, and she's out there waving, even people throwing eggs at her and giving her the finger. She still gives them away, nobody hit her with an egg, but we've had eggs thrown at us and people giving us the finger who are lost in space, But this little girl yesterday, she was probably 4 or 5 years old, and her daddy was good 6'3", maybe 6'4", up on his shoulders, right? Yep. She was the lead. I mean, usually you got these guys with blowhorns that are freedom, and then the crowd goes freedom or whatever, and they're little things. This little girl, she got into, and she did it the whole damn route. Like, we've got I don't know how many blocks it takes us, about an hour to walk around, and she didn't stop. Like, she had people in her palm of her hands. She'd go freedom, and everybody would holler freedom. So I mean, dozens more children like that out there, that some of them, especially if see people use swear words or something, then they really grasp onto that. These little kids, they want to swear too and stuff. But what they say about Trudeau, the let's go Biden thing. But yeah, just the energy, brother. It was so comforting, and I don't know, emotional is the word, because like I say, we've been at this for 2 years from day one, not from like 2 days in or 3 days in. And have we learned along the way? My God, William, we've learned. You and I have researched, and now to the point where, like, all the pedantic people that are discussing this imaginary germ are still in the germ theory zone, instead of going all the way back to terrain theory, like, where we've learned even more about that in the last few months, or I have, and I think we've shared it with people, where people are starting to grasp it. I mean, it's still very easy for our minds to go back to the old programming of it's a cold or it's a flu, but what about before that? Like, what about the terrain theory that says No, it's just our body expelling poisons, not a germ. It's just poisons, that toxins that we inhale or ingest or inject into ourselves. And, you know, that's it. It's that simple. I'm so determined on Sasha's show this afternoon to talk about how, as Oliver Wendell Holmes said, I couldn't give a fig for the near side of complexity, but I'll give my life for the far side of complexity. You know, like, we need that simplicity. We need that common sense. We need those people that are politicking out there now, like Pierre Poilievre. Oh my God, he read the most beautiful 2.5-minute speech that anybody, I couldn't imagine, you know, like since Barack Obama, for Christ's sake, you know, and look what he did. But you know, those fast talking people, and he's not fast talking. He may have actually wrote that himself. He's a very intelligent man. You know, this Pierre Poilievre, who's gonna stand up for Canada, bring it back to the people. He's talking like Trump does, you know, like.
So we lost you there for a second, but we're back. Randall, you were talking about a speech that Pierre made, and he's talking like Trump. Can you let us in on that and fill us in a bit more and update us as to where you were going with that thought?
They're a step, okay? And a step for the people that don't quite understand sovereignty yet. I'm going to use the word sovereignty at the level of government, okay? Possibly at their own level of, you know, sovereign development or godly connection, whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to these politicians who are still who have been there the whole time for the last 2 years, okay? I'm going to cut to the chase here. They've been here the full time for the 2 years. And all of that time, they've either wandered around with things on their face, or they've taken this in the arm, or they've even just recognized that that PAN word and that CO word exist, okay? That's the bottom line. So if they've done that, then they're not leaders. They're followers. They've followed what somebody told them, okay? So that's not true leadership. Is it enough leadership to help society to get to another stage? Yes, of course it is. You know, they're speaking good words. Have we heard good words from politicians our whole lives? Of course. I got sucked into voting for most of my life. I'd go in and put my little check mark on until I realized what I was check marking, you know, on check marking to a deceptive government of the world, you know, that basically tells everyone that, well, you gave us your autograph on your birth certificate, so we get to do whatever we want now, and we'll, you know, manifest money and all that kind of stuff. Like I watched Pierre talk one time. I'm not picking on him, guys, and I'm not picking on Trump either. I'm just trying to bring the people that watch this show into another reality, okay? And I'm not saying another level or anything like that. I'm just trying to say, you know, there are, I don't know, roads or different paths. I'm going to just say levels, okay? Levels of intelligence or knowledge or wisdom, whatever you want to call it, that people just stop at and they won't explore any further. So for instance, Pierre Poilievre, he talks of the modern monetary theory. And I think he even made mention of money created out of nothing in his beautiful little video. Okay, he's trying to just tell people something there, right? But it's not created out of nothing. It's manifested out of paper and agreements and autographs. That's how governments manifest. They don't create, because creation brings in the element of God, or the alchemy of God and the alchemy of love. This is a deceptive process of manifesting, manifest being a piece of paper rather than the creation. And we think of it, duality of the words, as manifesting, you know? No, a manifest is a piece of paper with an autograph on it, right? Or a signature, which is sig, being fallen from nature. It's all based on these little secrets that these kind of politicians either don't know or want to continue to keep. to keep the idea of the corporate crown corporation and a prime minister in Canada, or the corporate United States of America and a president of that corporate United States of America going. That's all I wanted to say. And again, like I say, if you think I'm picking on Donald Trump or Pierre or Candace or any of the beautiful politicians who are spewing these wonderful words out of their mouths about bringing this nation back to the people, have we heard that before? Damn rights we have. Every time. Every politician that's ever lived has said the same thing. There's no creative notion to that. It's all the same. Until we get people that are willing to stand up and tell real truth about the fact, even here. Okay, so people will say to me, oh, you're talking about gold-backed or asset-backed accounts and the value of those. Well, that's limiting. I'm saying, no. If you want to go back there, that's better than the deceptive autograph and agreement process. But humans are still the ones putting value on that. And you don't think that the royal family members and the people that I deal with, the high aspects of banking, don't hear that from me? You damn rights they hear that from me. We're still the people that are putting some limited value on gold, okay? When it's completely unlimited. So nobody, they can challenge me and I can get into those 70 kilometers of text messaging back and forth respectfully, commenting back, not reacting, but responding to these people, never backing down on the fact that no other species on this earth has to go in debt for their comfort, okay? None, no other species on earth. They just go get it. So comfort is due. It is the birthright of this mammal, okay? This mammal and that mammal and every other mammal that's got their eyes on ears on this video right now. And until that truth is out there, we will never have peace on this planet, because that truth is the basis of peace. That comfort is peace. Peace is comfort. And until we have comfort, we can't have anything voluntary, as in volunteering your time, volunteering your money, volunteering this, volunteering that. Until people have their comfort, there won't be peace. It just repeats itself over and over again.
All right, I'm gonna stop you there because you, as always, give me lots of food for thought here, things that we can jump on. I was madly scrambling here, writing a few more notes, just based on some of the things that you were saying. You started this obviously with talking about Pierre, and what it made me think is a comment that I had heard through one of the channels that I had been watching, and it was I don't know, I can't remember where or who said it, but they were talking about workers that work inside the Canadian government, and people that work basically with some of these politicians that we see sort of at the forefront of everything. And some of the energy, or what I recall being said, was that the government was working based on opinion polls. So wherever the opinions seemed to be the strongest from what they were getting from in their department, that's where the politicians would go. And so it's been hard for the workers of the government to be able to really plan or predict or go down a set path, because the path keeps changing, because the opinion polls keep changing. So it was an interesting insight that was shared with me there, with the viewers there. And I couldn't help but think of that too, is we've often put our energies and our hopes and our thoughts in the past in our politicians, hoping that our politicians would be able to do something for us. And let's face it, very few have really fulfilled the promises that they made during their campaigns. Again, I've heard it said in different channels this week that, you know, what have politicians done? They've made promises, but when they get in, those promises seem to disappear, and there seems to be a whole new different agenda. And very often these agendas are very much the same as the previous party that was in office before they got voted in. So, there, you've got to start questioning, something's going on here. What the heck's going on? Because we seem to keep getting different people saying they're going to do different things for us, but the end result seems to be almost always the same. So I don't know if you have any comments to that, but if not, I'm going to jump into something else here too from that.
Yeah, like I'll just hopefully quickly, me and my wordiness, but we live under the illusion of democracy, and that is an illusion, okay? Because even if you consider opinion polls, that is a small minority group, be it select or not, group of people, right? And so what you're speaking to as far as opinion polls, that's not democracy. It's far from it. And even if we don't consider that Trump is still legally challenging the Dominion polling process of the United States and all that kind of stuff in the legal jurisdiction, let's just go there for just a second again, like I've said in many of my videos, and consider that 160,000 people out of 1.45 million total, that's children and everything here in Calgary, decided to put fluoride in the water, okay? And now they're saying that was the democratic process. Well, how in the hell does that make any sense? Or the fact that, and this is another fact, okay, that was one fact. The other fact is that Justin moron Trudeau was put in power by less than 20% of the total number of eligible voters in Canada, less than 20%. So the idea of opinion polls or democracy is just a joke, So, of course we need the people's voice, okay? But that voice, when it comes from within, from common sense, brings things to the front that I've just said. And then you got to say, well, why do we have these governments that are making decisions? Because they're not democratically led. So governments really should only be there to administer processes, common sense processes, like the fact that comfort needs to be for every human in that realm wherever these governments exist, okay? Simple as that. Getting involved with other choices is not democratic. It's doing something that's good for everyone and everything. I'm not saying they shouldn't choose to build roads or choose to maintain cities and stuff like that. That's still part of a administrative process if it comes from a common sense strategic platform. But if it's based on nonsense, like the world government immigration policies that are uprooting people in places of the world where they truly want to live and bringing them to other places in the world just to keep mankind unbalanced, all based on, again, the monetary situation in each nation, then there's a real problem, is there not? Like we balancing that monetary situation and allowing people to have comfort in their own home where they grew up, where they were born, makes a lot more sense than, oh, well, let's just immigrate and emigrate and do all that stuff and keep people out of balance. Like I'm not against it. If people want to move to another nation, of course, but if they're forced because of deplorable conditions in their nation, then that's a world problem that needs to be administered properly, that gives comfort to people in their homes where they're born, on their land. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to go to the comment you mentioned about gold-backed. The interesting thing is, I heard a similar comment. Actually, going to give a shout out to our mutual dear friend who is now on sabbatical for a while. Lee Mudway is going to be away for a bit, but Lee did a show with Rick Jewers, a GPMS show about 10 days ago. And Lee spoke about that in that show as well, about the gold back. And certainly having gold-backed currency is a step up from what we're doing right now. But why not go all the way was sort of the message that Lee was saying. And besides that, similar to what you just said a few minutes ago about that too, is that who really determines the value of the gold? Who, like, why all of a sudden, would we go to something where there's still something that has to have something put on it? So with gold, at least it's a hard currency, yay. But someone has to determine the value of that. And that means if there's someone doing that, there's some overseer, and that still means that we are still obliging or allowing that same old system to keep going, perhaps looking different and perhaps in better conditions, but basically saying, okay, someone's going to tell us how much gold's going to be. So what you're saying, what Lee's saying, what GPMS was saying was basically, we can set our own rules. We are actually free. We just forgot that we were free, and we put our dependency outside of ourselves onto government or other authority figures. We were born and raised and indoctrinated into all of that. So why not let's blow that up completely? And, I love what you said about, you mentioned a little bit about animals, and then my mind went into nature. And I always go there. Like, I think, do I ever see a raccoon telling a squirrel that he has to sign a contract before he can live in that tree over there in the corner on the 15th floor, or the 15th, foot up place that he's set for himself? No, I mean, the animals just do what the animals do. They're instinctual. Why cannot humans do the same? Well, the truth is we can. So why don't we? Well, that's an interesting question. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts about that, Randall, but I wanted to share that because you inspired that in me, and I heard it from Lee as well, and I wanted to give Lee a shout out.
Sure. Yeah, we miss Lee. He's always wonderful to have on. But the idea of value then comes in when you're speaking like that, William, because with the animals, what are they after? Okay, they're after their comfort. And if they work cooperatively together, like a beaver, for instance, they'll build a dam so that they can have a house. And they, not I, okay, anymore. We're talking about then a cooperative effort. Or a bee who just goes out and gets the honey and survives versus the one who brings it back to the hive and builds a hive, right? So humans could act like that. We have the potential to act like that. But if we're talking GPMS, that is global people's monetary system. So we're using the word money. So then if there is an idea there that's different than putting value on gold, what do you put the value on? Do you put the value on the human? Fine. That's what the credit system, the government system that we were talking about, the manifestation system was. The only thing was that the government did it, falsely, or did it undercover, right? They just took it rather than gave it. Like they said, okay, now we have your consent. We'll do what we want and make how much money we want, and we'll give you benefits because you are a person now. You're not a living man or woman on the land. So that bullshit story. But it was the idea of putting value on the human being, or giving that value, that energy to the human being rather than the gold or the silver. So what GPMS is speaking of is to open that truth up, right? That the human is the value. But then where do you go? Do you say, okay, every human is worth $1 billion or $1 trillion? What value do you put on that? Or do you say that every human has their comfort, and that comfort level is agreed on by the hive or by the beavers behind the dam? Should we just dam it up even bigger because we don't really need it, or should we just have enough to have the comfort of our community? Should we make the hive this big, or should we make the hive this big, so that, you see what I mean? Like, bring the natural aspect into that. So I'm not arguing with putting the value back on the human being, but then somebody's going to have to administer that. And the administrators of that are going to very likely have to put a value on it. So my argument, if you want to call it that, is that, look, we've always been attracted to some kind of ownership, human beings. We're more like crows than beavers, okay? Crows like shiny things, you know, lots of birds like shiny things. So we're like that. We're like shiny thing people, you know, shiny thing mammals. So we have this a massive abundance after mining this mining. Again, we go back to the words. Once I mine it, it's mine, you know, like once I get it out of the earth, it's mine. But that whole mining process has happened and continues to happen to this day, okay, of the unlimited and continually building resources of our Mother Earth, because it's, you know, gold and diamonds and all that stuff, it's being created as we speak. And created is the word, because God's involved with that, okay? Oil and gas are continually, it's a biological process. It's not limited, you know, that bullshit. Oh, we got to have $1.40 oil now because we, you know, we're using more, whatever. Like, you know, human stories just boggle my mind how they can get out of control like that. But it's somehow saying we're going to put value on something. So my thoughts are there's already value and there's already abundance of it that's already been mined. If we did that, would we have to mine more? No, there's lots there. You know, leave Mother Earth alone. Just let her keep creating it, and, you know, whatever. And let's use what's there already, or share it, one or the other. But ultimately, that's the word, is it comes down to, is sharing it properly and evenly with all people. And I think that's where GPMS and I can, you know, 100% agree. And that's not as if we're disagreeing about other things. It's just that there's a couple of different notions there. One is to put the value back on the human being, which is what we had in the credit system, except bring that out into the open and honesty part, or use, you know, precious treasure and resources of Mother Earth to, you know, as a basis or a foundation for a medium of exchange, which is the banks itself. The medium of exchange, in my mind, is not the currency or the commodity. The bank is the medium of exchange that allows the flow. It doesn't dam it up. We don't need any more damn banks. We just need, you know, them to administer and allow the flow.
I see basically what you've said about government and also about banks is kind of similar in that they're there to facilitate as servants in a way. I mean, servants, I don't mean in the form of like slavery or anything like that, but I mean just letting the operations happen without control. And I think that's the huge difference, because right now it's the banks and the governments that control us. And so we need to let that notion go, even though we still need those elements, most likely, but they need to be in a subservient manner rather than in a controlling us manner. Would you agree?
100%. And if you listen to Pierre Poilievre or Donald Trump, they'd say those same words. We're giving that back to you, until the next politician has to come along, because none of them have ever done it. Not one. You know, we're going to squeeze government back. Poilievre says, we're going to bring it back. You know, we don't need so much government. And isn't that beautiful, Pierre? Isn't that beautiful? Why don't you just tell the truth instead of, you know, back and forth, opening up government, squeezing it down, opening up government, left and right, you know, Republican, Democrat. Let's go back and forth in that looniverse again. Blame and shame and guilt. And, you know, it was Trudeau. He's the bad guy. It was Biden. It was China. My God, I'm so sick of that shit. It's not even funny. Just tell the truth, Donald Trump. Just tell the truth, Pierre. Donald Trump of anybody. My God, you don't think he has the knowledge that I have of the banking system and the monetary system? Jesus Christ, folks, that man is deeper into it than I am. Of course he is. And if he doesn't, well, then send him up here and I'll give him a little lesson or two. My God,
I think that's a perfect tie-in, Randall, to
Okay.
you said Jesus Christ. Now that, wait a minute, we haven't talked about the dynastic order of Saint Miriam yet. And I thought that's a perfect segue right there. We talked obviously about GPMS a little bit, just in reference, but we haven't really done a check-in with what's going on with DOSM. Can you fill us in on the wonderful things going on in that world that you are so much connected to?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, all of my career, if you want to call it that, in the banking world has been to try and latch on to a group that has common sense, that has natural love, that has, the capability to think in terms of peace and not control. And I found it, and it is a natural story of a family, of Jesus Christ, Mary, Mother Mary, and Jesus Christ and Mary's child Sarah, and the descendants from there, right? So whether you believe that stuff is biologically capable of having a bloodline or not, doesn't matter. To me, it's still a simple story of nature, okay? Of how it works without the magic and without lies and deception of government and, suppression of government. It's just a beautiful thing. And, we'll say under the government or governance of Jesus Christ. And to me, Jesus Christ outright said it to us. I'm in you, like it wasn't, I'm coming back as a man again someday, and then I'll save you again. Like, no, I left this plane of existence and I ascended, but I left myself in you. So Jesus Christ is within us. And that's what's rising right now. It's such an accelerated rate. That love, that simple family, that little girl on top of her dad's shoulders. I'm choked up every time I even think of that little kid, that little child of God. Sorry, that word has to go, like it's all so programmed into us with words too, but the beauty of DOSM, or Dynastic Order of Saint Miriam, is that simplicity. Okay. Is there complexity? Are we having our challenges with the banking system? Of course. My God, they don't want to lose control. My God, they don't want to let it be known that there's abundance rather than limited lack in this corporate limited banking system, which is still in that legal jurisdiction. They manifest money in the common law jurisdiction in the banking system with the credit system, and they manage in the private placement platforms the unlimited asset-backed accounts or even the credit-backed accounts. They limit those in there. So anything to do with limit is still a legal jurisdiction term. So do they want to let go? Hell no. Like what, the whole thing falls apart if they do. So I'm saying just let a little bit out at a time. Are we going to change the world overnight with this? No, but we can build cities. We can build communities within the cities that we have already with new funding from these asset-backed accounts, and slowly integrate this idea, this complete truth of abundance slowly into the minds of the masses, because you're not going to change them overnight. That's the one thing that I'm challenged with people that talk about flipping the switch. My God, if this last 2 years hasn't told you how ingrained and how programmed the average human mind is, I don't know what will. I still walk around the streets outside on beautiful days like today, highly intelligent men with suits and ties and a diaper on their face after 2 bloody years. Like it boggles me. Of course, when you open up a conversation with them without anger and try to bring them into some kind of consciousness, a lot of them will engage and start to talk with you. But it's still, to think that that's still going on is just mind-boggling. And it tells you how deep the programming of words are into this individual mind. I'm not talking about the mind of God, And the mind of God is always perfect, moving towards completion. If you can get in touch and synchronize with that and, balance your DNA, your divine natural activation, DNA, then you can feel that mind of God shifting as well. And it's always shifting, and it will never stop. We are perfect, moving towards completion. And that statement will never end. It's the never ending story.
That's awesome. I was thinking again about the children a little bit, and I was also thinking about how differently I see the world now than I did even 2 years ago. Like before COVID, I was just living the routine kind of thing and trying to make ends meet and doing the business and that kind of thing. And I'm still doing that in a way, but I feel like my mind and my thoughts have been exposed to so much more, to the idea of living a life where you really ultimately have complete freedom of choice, where you and technically and really we actually have that now. We just don't believe, like, as some people do. I don't want to put everyone in the same basket, but what I'm seeing is, like you said, with the suits and the ties and the face diaper, is that there are still people who don't accept or have that realization that they have freedom of choice. They can choose to do whatever they want in this moment right now, not just somewhere down the road where someone will flip the switch and things will change, but that we can actually say, you know what, this doesn't work for me. I do not believe this anymore, and this, I'm going to let this go, and I'm not going to wear the face diaper anymore, and I'm not going to subscribe to the things that are in life right now. I want to see things differently, and we're seeing more and more of that globally. There's so many different little groups. Like you said, this afternoon you're going to be speaking with someone from the Sasha Stone group, and there's going to be other channels that you'll see. I've mentioned Michael Tellinger a few times, and his movement, the One Small Town movement, is starting to really take off now too, in many different places, including his home country of South Africa. And there are many other groups, Cosmic Consciousness on YouTube, and they have their own communities. And every different person that has a channel seems to have a community of some sort. I follow Kyle Cease, for example. So there are these pockets of movement, and there are these people that are starting to wake up and say, you know what, I want to see things done differently. I don't want to keep the same. I don't want to go back to the old normal anymore. Like, I want a new normal, but not normal as what's being proposed by the politicians. I want a new normal that I can choose and be a part of, and have the children be free to choose whatever it is they want, to stand on the daddy's shoulders and say freedom, and have everyone else follow. Like, I want that. I want that aliveness. I want that openness. I want the ability to talk to people without being afraid that they're going to give me something or I'm going to give them something. There's so much opportunity, and I feel like if we can just bring that awareness to more and more people, it's not even necessarily about fighting the system or like having to struggle or battle or whatever, but it's more of an acceptance of what can be, what can we have, what do we want, what do we want as a whole, what do we want as individuals, how can we work with that together in community. So again, I'm not asking a lot of questions, but I'm bringing a lot of thoughts and then asking you to comment on them. And I wonder if anything springs forth from what I just shared there for you, Randall.
Oh, lovely, brother. And I love your opinion on that stuff. Like, you're nailing it when you say I want. There's enough of us that had that intention, okay? Because want is an intention of peace, of freedom, of love. It's in your heart, brother. I've seen it ever since I met you. You're probably one of the most loving, compassionate. I don't know if compassionate is the word. I've been looking at that lately too, that word compassion, and how we've thought of passion as, maybe I should finish my thought before I go there. Okay. Let me finish my thought before I go there, but I want to go there next. But the idea that, the love that you bring forward from your heart, and at every show that we've ever had, you balance me if I get too passionate, if you want to use that word, and then we'll dive into it later. And it's always from a place of love. Your heart is just overflowing, brother. I've, like I said, from the day I met you. So how many people like you are out there in that, I'll call it a spiritual community, because you are a spiritual man. And what that spirituality is your own individual choice, to talk of, or even to just keep within. If it's a Christed light view, or if it's a galactic view, or whatever it is, it's your spiritual voice that's talking about love and peace and kindness and, all of those things. So enough people have gotten to that place of wanting that now it's happening, because that's the way it works. When you want something bad enough, it happens. If you want to be a millionaire on the shoulders and exploiting, in a capitalist sense, a bunch of people below you in some pyramid scheme, it'll happen. There's lots of them out there. What's his name? Elon Musk, you name it. Like there's tons of capitalists that have succeeded and shown other people the way, like, is that the way? Is it based on love and peace and harmony and freedom, Elon Musk? Maybe part of it, and maybe you're a good salesman to put that into it, but most of it is based on sheer wealth and profit, So it's a fine line that we, tread when we're doing this, William, but bringing that love and peace and saying, I want that, is why this is occurring now on Earth, and why mankind is going through this ascension process at an accelerated rate. That happening is because of people like you.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure and gratitude.
Well, here's the interesting thing. There's that part of me that says, well, yeah, but I'm not out and about, and I don't need and talk to a lot of people. I'm still scurrying and trying to stay, I'm like a duck in the water, right? My feet are going like crazy, even though I look kind of calm on the top. There's a part of me that, is still scrambling like crazy. And I'm in an interesting situation where I literally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And in the spiritual circles, that's a good thing, because you're putting your presence and your focus and your attention in the moment now, because technically that's all you've got, and you don't know what tomorrow will bring. And so you just trust. I mean, that's all you can do. And so I'm in that position. So it's interesting, but I think that there are many different ways to freedom. And, in the past, a lot of times the method toward freedom, or perceived freedom, was through fighting, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because you want peace, so you have to fight for peace. But fighting and peace, aren't they opposites? So there's that kind of thing. But are there ways to contribute to peace without fighting? That's another question that could be put out to people. And I guess I kind of naturally fall into that. Is I don't see myself as a fighter per se. I see myself as a kind, gentle soul, as a lot of people have reflected that back to me too. But that doesn't mean that, you don't claim your sovereignty either. You say, this is not acceptable to me. If there's a certain way of living that's going on, and you're saying, no, I don't want any more of that, because frankly, it's not working. It's not working for me. It's not working for other people. It's not loving. It's not compassionate. And you wanted to talk about that word, so there's my segue. But that's kind of what I wanted to respond to what you just said there. But I know before we go too far down a different path, I want to give you a chance to talk on that word compassion, and you were having some thoughts about that.
Yeah, and also what you just said, I don't want. Want is far better, like that's what brings things into our lives a lot quicker. And you're shaking your head, so what happened there, right? It's like when we say fighting, that means something that we don't want. If we want peace, we'll find peace, like it's about the want, not the what we don't want. But yeah, words are so important, and it's the programming, because we think in terms of words, and especially, since we've focused on this English language, the world has focused on it, like when I talk with people in other parts of the world, they're the only ones I can talk with are the ones that have English as their second language, obviously. And that is the majority of people that are, in kind of whatever you want to call it, positions of leadership or power. So the English language is very, very challenging for us to just stay on track. And, subconscious training and using the same words in our minds when we're meditating and stuff, that's how I know you've done it, William, because you do meditations daily, and so do I. So we program those words of peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything every day on my mind into our system, among many others. And especially guys like you and me who are 60 years old, who've gone through 50 some years of programming of words that we never really thought about at the time, right?
Right.
So the word passion has come to mean in our society intense desire, right? But the original meaning of that word is suffering. The passion of Christ was about his suffering, right? And so then I thought about it, and I did a little video this week talking about this, but good to reiterate it because I like that repetition, and a lot of people wouldn't have saw that video anyway. But the idea that intense desire brings suffering, and oftentimes it does. We get all caught up in the beauty of a girlfriend, for instance, and then the sexual desire drives us fucking nuts. Where does that end in the relationship? Like generally down the tube, over time. It's like, and there's actually animals out there that when they have sexual intercourse, the male just dies. I don't remember which one that is, but if it's a fish or what it is. I read about that one time. It might be an insect, and I thought, yeah, that pretty much makes sense. But
well, I know the black widow eats her male after mating. So you don't want to come back as a spider, especially a male one.
I heard a joke this week that was kind of cute too about who is the most powerful animal on earth, right? And this guy says, well, man, Samson defeated the lion, but who defeated Samson?
Why, Delilah?
So just a sideline, folks, because we were getting a little serious in this show and we have to lighten it up. We don't have to, but the compassion and passion thing, once again, it's like such an interesting word. So then I thought, well, what could I use instead? Because this week I did 2 videos back to back in one day. And I honestly almost went to my phone this morning, deleted everything that I've got on YouTube and left those 2 videos up. And I may do that yet. I'm not threatening, but I'm thinking about it because it's all there in those 2 videos. One is that intense passion, right? And did it go like, holy shit, I haven't had a video without some, idol kind of character like Janine or Sasha Stone or something recommending it that went as high as this one that I did the other day ever. And part of it is, the trucker rally. I know that some of those people latched onto it and liked it, but that one went to, and in my little world, okay, I'm not talking about viral. It's, usually we float along for most of the year, William. Our shows would get 100 to 200. Now they've been increasing a little bit. Well, this one I did the other day, that with the passion, talking about those moron politicians, over 2,000 views, And the one that I did that is heartfelt, and that's the word I want to use or get to here, heartfelt, talking about why we're here. And it's just for the children. Why Dynastic Order of St. Mariam is here. It's for the children. What the hell else are we here for? To fight with each other or to gain power or something else? We're here for the children. And that heartfelt video got our usually 200 views, so that the idea of desire and passion driven in the human being tells you, some stories there. However, you can't get away without it. I mean, if you don't have the desire and passion of the male, you're never going to have any kids, Sorry, children. Jesus, I did it again. But you have to have that balance of the two. Like, it's got to be heartfelt, but it's also have to have some drive, and that masculine feminine balance, however you want to put it. There's so many different ways to do it, like the alpha omega. What about sigma? Like, when I use the word sigma on people, I had to learn it myself. Like, what the hell sigma? Well, check it out, folks, like I did, because I didn't know it. Somebody said, you sound more like a sigma male than an alpha male. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I had to go look it up. And then check the etymology of words too, guys. God, that's the dictionary I use. I don't use a dictionary anymore. I use the etymology, because then you'll see things like the fact that passion originally meant suffering. So do we want to be passionate? No, we want to be heartfelt. We want to bring our heart to the forefront. I looked at my closet this morning, which is open right now, and it's full of purple sweaters. And I kept thinking, I'm a compassionate man. I'm a compassionate man. I got to get a bunch of green shirts, because the heart chakra is green. And it goes with the rainbow colors, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, white, light, violet, whatever you want to call it. Like, think in terms of all of these spiritual teachings that we've had. Right here at the heart is green. So I'm going to go get some green shirts and start thinking of myself, rather than passionately or compassionately, compassion, meaning with passion. COM is with, passion being intense desire or suffering. Jesus, I don't want either one of those. I just want to be heartfelt.
Make sure that some of those green shirts are plain, because you've got the new bow ties, and I noticed there was a little clashing going on. So nice plain green shirts would be awesome. That would be great.
Yeah, I still got like a little bit of a purple tie that would go with a green shirt, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I know the Joker used to wear that too, and Batman. That was his favorite combination of colors, green and purple. I'm not sure if that's a good symbology or not, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Awesome, brother.
And we know you like to do a little ribbing from time to time too, so good on you.
Of course. Advocate still, and advocacy, I think, is that passionate side of me. Like, I'm not going to stop it. I'm not going to stop being a alpha male or a beta male or a sigma male. I'm going to just mix it all together. Why not? That's where the fun is.
You'll be a multi-male.
Multi-male, sure. The friend of mine said the other day, our buddy Martin McNichol, he went through hell the last couple of weeks. My God. Hello, Martin. Thank God you're back alive again. Freaking croaked on us. But he said he had a video talking about householder. So the path of the householder. And I thought it was quite interesting, like he's still developing his spiritual inner being while, being a daddy to his little wonderful boy, Angelo, and, being a husband to his wonderful wife, Elise. And it was really cool. But one word that a partner of mine that I was dealing with quite a number of years ago now mentioned, he said, we're business monks. Instead of a monk who just sits in the, whatever monastery and develops his own private spiritual enlightenment, there's other ways. And one is a householder, one is a business monk, where you dive into it, get into the banking business, get into the world of government and discover what it's all about. And, bring your love into that and see what happens, because it's happening. And, that's what I always wished for. And now it's happening to me. And there may still be quite a few out there that say, well, you're living in a fucking room with paying $700 a month and you're getting some funds from the government. Yeah. In the meantime, that's the truth. Am I going to succeed? No, God's going to succeed, because God is perfect, moving towards completion, whether that's in me or in the outer. So of course there's going to be funding come for our projects, and there's no doubt in my mind, never has been. Can I say when that's going to happen? Well, it's going to happen a hell of a lot sooner now, because the world of man is exploding with the same consciousness. And try and deny that, or sit in front of your television and watch Global, and well, not Global so much. Global is the one television network that's actually starting to tell the truth. I've seen 2 or 3 articles. City TV, which is a global news network, Global, which shocked me, but they were down at our rally yesterday, like filming the kids and stuff. Like, holy shit. So if that isn't enlightenment on the part of these, organizations who have been led by the nose by these government corporations, what is? Things are changing so fast. My God. And that just makes me tear up to think about it, brother.
You were even visiting with CBC this week, just to, give it another shot, so to speak. That didn't go that great, unfortunately, but then I guess you didn't expect that it would be any different than last time. But I joked with you. I said, well, you were suggesting, let's do a little, friendly protest kind of thing up here in front of the CBC station. And, there's lots of room in the parking lot, and then I said, well, why don't you call CTV and Global? They can cover it for you. Yeah, we get a little bit of press coverage too. Of course, we were just joking, but, it's just interesting that they don't seem to want to cover any of the things that are going on in those weekly rallies. I don't want to call them protests because it has a negative connotation, but the rallies that you've been a part of. And I'm encouraged and enthused, and congratulations to Calgarians. There are obviously a lot of Calgarians with a lot of heart that care about, seeing a different world, changing what we've experienced to something new and fresh and alive. And of course, to me, in a way, it's no surprise that children are leading the way. I've heard it said in spiritual circles that, the children that will be coming, the souls of them will be far advanced from the children that we've, had in past decades, and that is that they'll come with the wisdom that they had in previous lives. So that's a bit of a stretch, especially for those that don't believe in reincarnation, but it's still an interesting comment nonetheless. And you can't completely deny it, because you're seeing more and more, videos of child prodigies that can play a piano or a violin or whatever. There's children doing some amazing things on this planet right now, and who knows what the next decade will bring us with the new children coming aboard. So it's fun, it's exciting. Randall, are any other thoughts? Did you want to talk about the truckers for a couple of minutes just before we wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. We could go there. I mean, I haven't been able to communicate with Pat since he's been down there, Pat King. We did an interview, quick one together in Calgary, and then I went up to Edmonton and met with him the following week back when the mayoralty election was going on. And we had some really good visits. So, and basically, again, the primary reason that I wanted to connect with him and give him so much encouragement is his exposure in the court system of the illusory germ, right? So he went into the court system back in frickin' September or whatever, and asked for biological unsubstantiated proof of the germ. And the federal lawyers that came into that case, because they knew he had something there, and the provincial lawyers at both of those corporate government levels, neither one of them could give anything. So right there, this whole thing should have ended right at that point in time. The whole legal jurisdiction fell to pieces if they would have stuck with that, right? But it didn't. So anyway, Pat is one of many leaders, and I'm loving the way that he's talking. He's not the leader, he's not the one. Tamara Leach, Lich, she's the one who started that GoFundMe project, and basically one of the original organizers. I'm hearing so many other names. None of them are saying I'm it. They're all just saying, yeah, we're all here together. They got this beautiful cohesive thing going on. But you want to talk about intelligence from grassroots people and people like Pat King, who comes out with language that's, most people would think like he's a frickin' hillbilly or something. That man is highly intelligent, and he's got things so put together on the legal front with lawyers. And of course, he's got backing from somewhere. I don't know where, maybe bike gangs. I don't know. But if he does, that's good too. But, he's a powerful force. And Tamara, I can hardly even watch any of her stuff without tearing up. She's such a lovely gal. The gal that started the GoFundMe thing. And whatever happens there, it'll all be fine anyway. Don't get worried about that. People are getting all kind of tore up because GoFundMe is backing off and stuff. That's fine. They wouldn't be sitting there if they didn't have the funds to be sitting there right now already. Will they be compensated from donations? Of course they will. It might be come in a different way. And maybe GoFundMe just screwed themselves out of a business. Like who knows what's happening there. That's all karma playing out. So don't be concerned about it. Just spread the good news more than anything else, and just keep showing people videos of the horses riding to Coots or to Sweetgrass, Montana, and like all those kind of things. It's just stunning to watch, and pick up your stick and get in the game. My brother-in-law and sister phoned this morning. They're on their way down to Coots. Third time they've been in a rally this week. And I mean, they've been holding their own on their farm and doing their thing. And now, boom, into the thick of things. So, use some good old hockey, paraphrases like pick up the stick and get in the game, or, that kind of stuff. It's all fun now, guys, and just keep having fun.
I saw that Coho goalie stick yesterday in the video you put out in the morning. So yeah, why not? We're Canadians. We like hockey, eh?
Hey.
All right, Randall. Yeah, yep. That's my brother from the true north, man. Yeah. Totally. All right. Well, let's wrap this puppy up, put a bow on it, or a toque, I guess, in this case. And it's been a nostalgic walk down, memory lane, I think, today, because it's just you and I, and it's been a long time since it's just been you and I talking. And I know Cody will be popping in and out throughout the next few weeks. Like I said, Lee is on sabbatical for a while, and he trusts his own heart and his own soul as to when he might, jump back in, or if he will jump back in. But we love him, and we'll love to see him back anytime he wants to come back. So it would be great to have Lee again whenever he's ready. But Randall, thank you so much for visiting with me today and sharing all your experiences, and of course the wisdom that you have within your heart, and allowing me to share some of mine. It's been a great journey, and let's keep it going.
Yeah, let's just add that. I'm gonna just say a few extra words today, and I'm gonna end the videos with this each time now, if I can, or if I can do whatever I want, right?
Yeah, you're allowed here. Yeah.
With peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything, every day on our minds. Abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria. And then I'm going to say, I am, because we all have to have an I am, right? You are who you are as an individual, but I am is the ultimate goal that you want and that you are. So I am the abundant, healthy, sovereign, loving, harmonious, imaginative man, co-creating abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria for all, as the sender, the receiver, and the one who shares the abundant energy, frequency, resonance, vibration, and currency of God. Currency of God, does that mean money? Along with the precious treasure and resources of Mother Earth, lovingly through the medium of exchange banking system to the people for their comfort first, and then for projects that do no harm. I love you, William. Thank you so much.
Bye, Randall. Thank you. Lots of
See you
love.
guys later. Love you too.